Not even 2 weeks ago, I was browsing on Amazon when I realized that even in 2026, you can buy an LG Wing off of Amazon. Because this was so confusing to me, I had literally no choice. I had to buy one for myself. When this phone launched in 2020, it cost $999. And with the LG Wing failing, LG completely exiting the smartphone market, and this phone only costing $260, I couldn't think of a better time than today to explore the LG Wing with you guys and take a look at some of the features, hardware, and just the phone in general. Because I don't know about you guys, but I have been curious to get my hands on one of these. Anyways, let's open this thing up and see what we're dealing with. As you can see, the Amazon box is no longer sealed because I was so excited to get this. I had to open the Amazon box just to make sure that the LG Wing was inside. And here she is in all of her glory. It looks like there's Korean on the back. All right. It looks like a normal smartphone. Got the Wing logo on the front. Let me move this Amazon box. Says it's got a hard case inside. Wait, a hard case included. That just seems foreign. Like, that's a very odd thing to put on a box. And it's a T-Mobile version. That's odd. Looking at the bottom here, it says made in Korea. Wait a minute, does that mean that I have a Korean version of this phone? I don't know. I guess we'll find out in a bit, but it would make sense because everything on the back here is also Korean, minus the Qualcomm Snapdragon logo. Wait a minute, I have an idea. I have a friend, and its name is Google Translate. Alright, yeah, pause the video if you need. This is just a bunch of compliance jargon. Doesn't really mean anything to me. Maybe it does to you, so pause the video and you can read away, my friend. Alright, let's remove this plastic. And for the moment of truth, there is the LG Wing. This is a bit underwhelming. I don't know if this is actually new. It looks like the protective film on the screen has been scratched and there's all sort of particles in the packaging, but maybe it's because it's been sitting in this box for so long. I don't know. Really looks like a normal phone at this point until you take it out of the box and realize that this thing is actually really clunky, which is because it's the LG Wing and this thing is a swivel fold phone instead of a fold phone. Also, it is a fingerprint collector. Trust, guys, I washed my hands before this video, alright? This thing just picks everything up. But let's see what else is in the box before we turn the phone on. Of course, there's a USB cable, A to C, and then this mysterious box, which I wasn't sure what was inside until I opened it, and to my surprise, USB-C wired headphones. Okay, yeah, I guess it was 2020. The headphone jack was already gone at that point. For those of you who had the LG Wing, how do these sound? Is this what came with the original phone, or is it an add-on that Amazon threw in there? Hey, I'll take it. More crap and accessories in the box. I'll take it. Also comes with a charge block and a micro SIM pin. And what do we have here that's been hiding out? It's an all-Korean instruction manual. Very nice. Unfortunately, English is my first and only language currently, although I am working on Portuguese, but I could definitely understand that part right there with the swiveling screen. And I'm getting excited. Okay, so before we turn the phone on, I do want to point out that the bottom shows some pretty obvious wear that is much more than just cardboard can do from this sitting in the box. So I'm curious to know exactly where this came from. Is this original stock or is it refurbished? One thing is for sure, it feels very lovely to swivel this thing open, although it is quite awkward. Now, I know I'm getting sidetracked here, but guys, this thing is an absolute fingerprint magnet. I barely even touch the thing, and it just gets chalked up with fingerprints. I've really got to get a case with this thing if I'm going to use it any heavier than this in 2026, but let's take the screen peel off and see if this is really brand new. Alright, so I can't really tell if it's brand new, but the screen doesn't have any scratches, and right off the bat, I've been able to handle this thing and see what it feels like in my hands, and it's a very awkward phone. I found that I could actually open it with my thumb, but to close it, I couldn't do that with the same hand, but I'll show you guys that in a bit. The software kind of falls behind when you open the swivel and it goes to swivel home. It's almost like the phone is trying to process what just happened, and it hasn't been smooth in my experience, but we'll take a deeper look at it in a minute. I first need to charge the phone. Okay, so we got the phone charged up, and to show you how difficult it is to open and close this with one hand, it's not the easiest thing. I'm not sure if you guys are two-hand or phone users, but it is a bit difficult to open and close this with one hand. And you could hold it in several different ways. You can have the screen on the side like this and use that thumb to try to text your friends. Or you could use the phone in landscape mode, which is unique for a smartphone to have landscape. And then on the top, you could watch video or text messages, but it's actually kind of hard to run one application at the same time, unless you're doing something like writing notes. But I'd say one of the most unique features about this phone is the camera. And one thing in specific with the camera mode is something called gimbal mode. I have to set up a little shooting space here to show you guys how gimbal mode works. It's essentially a gimmick because it's got video or image stabilization, which makes it so you could take a smooth shot. And because of the image or video stabilization, that's why they call it gimbal mode. So you could be shaky or you could be walking and it'll actually smooth out the video. I'll show you guys in a minute. And not only that, you could use the joystick to actually control the camera yourself so you don't have to be, turning the phone left or right. You could actually shoot video in up to 4K at 30 or 60 frames per second. And while gimbal mode is really cool, most modern phones already have image stabilization, but I gotta tell you, I was the coolest guy on the mountain recording with the LG Wing. I will say though, when I was in gimbal mode and I used the joystick to pan the camera around, you could see that it's a little choppy, like right here. You see how it's shaky and kind of darting around? Doesn't make for very smooth video, so I guess you could avoid the joystick completely and still have some pretty decent video. The LG Wing camera's also got some cool features like, what's another? Oh yeah, dual recording. And I don't know if you guys missed this like I did, but there is that selfie camera that kind of pops up out of nowhere. Oh, hello there, Mr. Hidden Selfie Camera. Where did you come from? That's kind of cool, 30 megapixel camera just hiding out right there. And if you guys haven't noticed up to this point, there are features on this phone that a lot of phones at the time already had, but LG put their own twist on it and delivered pretty much the same thing. Wow, that's a very nice camera. Right on. Kind of like the selfie cam. Why have a normal selfie cam when you can have this one? I mean, guys, you can't deny that is freaking cool. It's even got a graphic. That does make me think of one thing. I would hate to drop this phone. I just feel like it would be a pain in the butt to repair. But I mean, what am I talking about? That's nothing compared to the sticker feature on this selfie camera. I mean, sure, I could use Facebook Messenger or Instagram, but when the camera has a full integration to these things, like, oh my gosh. That's probably the best feature on this phone, wouldn't you guys agree? This phone is definitely a mixed bag and kind of confusing to understand who this phone was really built for. But one question I have is, how is multitasking while you try to game on this thing? Well, it's actually hilarious because I'm playing Call of Duty on one screen and then on the screen above the primary screen, I am rotting my brain by watching YouTube Shorts. And as hilarious as this looks, it just doesn't make any sense. I can't imagine a scenario where I'd want to use the bottom screen and this top screen at the same time. Of course, it wasn't designed for gaming, but it is just an odd secondary screen where I can't find a convenient in-between. Well, I take it back, there are some exceptions. As you can see here, I'm catching up on the most recent upload from my channel, and I'm in a ranked Call of Duty mobile lobby, so, I mean, I'm getting a little bit of doses of improving my gaming skills, plus watching probably one of the greatest content creators of all time, i.e. myself, aka jOhnZoid. I went ahead and did a benchmark test and was very disappointed. Single core came in at 819, multi-core came in at 2046, and to give a clearer picture of this, if I were to compare this to other models, this is about as good as an A54 on the single core side, and on the multi-core side, it's also about as good as an A54, which when we compare to phones like the Galaxy S20 Ultra, it really just doesn't have that much to offer under the hood. But it still is a really cool phone. And what can I say, while I was running a benchmark test, I was able to text my wife and tell her that I was busy running benchmarks at the same time I was running benchmarks. I'm kidding, I didn't really actually text my wife, but the phone does have 5G. Unfortunately, it does not have an eSIM, so thanks to Apple, I'm gonna have to go get an actual SIM card if I want to use this phone for cellular. Now, I was honestly expecting a little bit more with the phone as I got it, but it's actually truly a gimmick phone because there's no real logical way of using the screens that are comfortable in my own hands. Even doing stuff like watching YouTube just feels so awkward on the phone, and there's not really a given purpose for the second screen. It's just a bit odd, like the whole bottom screen is a settings panel for pausing, skipping, brightness, volume, and multitasking, at least with this phone, is just kind of confusing. I'm not sure how to really do it. I'm sure if if I spent, more time with the phone, I could eventually figure it out, but it just feels so freaking awkward. The phone was notorious for not having software that actually worked with the phone's UI. At this point, the phone is fairly dated, but when I tried playing Asphalt 9, the phone gave me a bunch of issues and eventually asked me to update Asphalt 9. And I'm sure if I clicked through and tried to do this, it wouldn't really work anyways, but I did find a few applications that were finicky like this, and it wasn't just because it's an outdated phone. It's been an issue with the phone for some years now. But overall, it's a really interesting phone. It's got some interesting history, and it's sad to see that LG, really stopped making smartphones in 2021, because I feel like they had a really good track record with some interesting phones. It's just this last one, they went above and beyond. It's not why LG left the smartphone market. It was a trend that had been going on for quite some time. And this phone was LG's final attempt to stand out, and it kind of actually really missed the mark. I know some of you actually use this phone, so if you did, comment below. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. And for those of you who watched the entire video, thank you so much for watching. If you couldn't tell, my voice is hoarse and it sounds like I'm dying, and it's because I am very, very sick right now. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. It was fun hanging out with you, and like I always say, we'll catch you in the next one. See you till then.